Hello, rugby fans. So happy that you are with us. We're inside our studios in Austin, Texas. I'm Stacey Pates. That is Mark Shabina. He's pretty cool, and you're pretty cool for being here. This is Takeoff, powered by American Airlines. You guys, there's so much good in this matchup coming right now. Toronto at ATL, and there's going to be a little bit of drama with these two teams because they're sharing the same pitch.
Unbelievable. COVID reasons again. Toronto have been displaced. What a season last year, 4-1. They were on track as well. They were first in the Eastern Conference, second overall, and they've got 75% of their squad coming back, Stacey. Chris Silverthorne, the head coach, joins again. He's been there since the start, and he's bringing in Welsh rugby legend Rob Howley into the coaching staff as well. They'll be relying heavily on Sam Malcolm, their leading point scorer. He'll be there with the super boot, looking to continue their winning form. They are a force to be reckoned with. Will the fact that they're playing in Atlanta, with Atlanta and sharing those facilities be a disadvantage for them, or are they just a super outfit and it won't matter?
You know what? Sometimes that's just life. You see what I did there? Life University. You see what I did there? That's what we're here for, your entertainment. Atlanta, another team to look forward to because Scott Lawrence does not play around.
He does not. Head coach Scott Lawrence returns. And 2-3, don't let that fool you as well. It was a losing record, but only one of those games, they lost by more than 3 points. But Kurt Coleman, that is a concern.
Big loss.
The leading point scorer, big loss with a broken leg. We wish him well in his recovery.
Yes.
You're going to have to dig deep to find some attacking firepower because that wasn't their strength last year. They made their way over the line often, but not often enough. But Stephen Brett, the former Super Rugby legend, comes in to bolster the coaching staff alongside Scott Lawrence. He'll have something to say about improving the offensive firepower of Atlanta this year. It's going to be a great matchup by two teams sharing the same facilities. What do you say about that, Stacey?
Can't wait. That's the drama only the MLR can provide, and we're here for it. So happy to have you with us on this Takeoff, powered by American Airlines. Stay with us. All the action coming up next. Ben Holden and James Patterson will bring you all the action. Don't go anywhere.
And we welcome you in. We are set to kick off the 2021 MLR season. 18 miles from downtown Atlanta sits Lupo Field at Life University, the home of Rugby ATL. And tonight they take on the Toronto Arrows, who were as hot as any team in the MLR before the shutdown due to COVID last year. My name is Ben Holden, alongside former Eagle and 8-year pro James Patterson. James, a lot of storylines. Stacey and Mark talked about it a little bit in the takeoff there with Toronto sharing the facility. That's most notably the biggest, and we'll get into it as we go along tonight.
Yeah, if any team can play away from home, it's definitely the Arrows. They haven't played a home game since June in 2019. They started 1-4 and went on a tear, 7-1 that season, and last year 4-1. So they're familiar with being away from home, and a lot of these guys have been playing with each other for over 10 years.
Yep, it's time now to take a look at the starting lineups and rosters, and they're brought to you by Barber Orthopedics tonight. Up front, some familiar names, a good number 8, a good number 7 for Rugby ATL. The backs, your area of expertise, my friend. Who stands out?
Yeah, Duncan van Skalkwijk. He's usually number 9, but due to some injuries, he's playing in the 10 jersey. He played there at this very field in college, but look for the experience of Iskura, Batusta Iskura. Outside of him, he's an Argentinian international, lots of experience.
All right, we shift our attention now to Chris Silverthorne and his starting lineup up front again. Some familiar names and faces up there. There's a lot of continuity and consistency with this Toronto outfit. The backs, who do you like there?
I like the look at Taylor Adams. Taylor Adams, the New Zealander, he stood into the role nicely last year and a lot more on his shoulders this year with the loss of Sam Malcolm.
All right, so those are the starters. There are 23, of course, dressed on both of these squads. Our referee tonight, a native of James Patterson's native country of New Zealand. I know you know Mike well.
Yeah, Mike Lash, very good referee. He's got over 100 first-class games in New Zealand, and he's on the New Zealand refereeing panel, so no better person to start us off in the middle.
Cisco Lopez, the assistant referee, number 1. Dave Edwards, number 2. And you see Rugby ATL there. They were 2-3 a season ago. They faced off against Toronto in round 4, a 28-18 win for Toronto. I mean, Toronto was as good as any. They might have been the best team in the league at the shutdown, James. They scored 151 points, allowed just 89. They finished 4-1. So the 2021 MLR season for these two teams is underway. The Arrows of Toronto there with the ball in the blue. Early things you're looking for here, James. Does it start with fitness? Does it start with the level of intensity of these two teams not playing for so long? What is it?
I think they wanted to stick to some kind of structure at the beginning. Match fitness is going to be obviously the question here. The Arrows haven't had a preseason game. Rugby ATL's fortunate to have a few preseason games, so they'll have a little bit more of that continuity fitness.
For Rugby ATL, they haven't played in 377 days. And for the Toronto Arrows, they went 379 days since their last game on the pitch. Beautiful weather in Atlanta tonight. Life University, the home of, well, Scott Lawrence, their head coach. He built the program. They've got 6 in their lineup tonight that played their college rugby for Lawrence at Life University. On the Canadian side, 15 of their 23 are Canadians, and that's just part of the great continuity and the culture they built. 27 guys back from last year.
And what was the statistic we heard from their coach? 50% of these guys have been playing together for over 10 years.
Makes a difference, it really does. And they get set here for the lineup. Controlled by Toronto. It's the hooker with it now, off and running. A good run up that far side by Jack McRogers. And a quick tackle made. They release. Ball comes out. They spin it back. On the move, Toronto, a team that averaged 30 points a game in the 5 they played last year, giving up just 18. They go wide now, near side. Head on, and charging on there is Leandro Lavis, who scored a try in this match last year. Good start here for Toronto, James. They get near the 5-meter, and the Arrows have come out just as they've been shot like an arrow, I suppose, right? They look pretty good to start here.
Building a lot of phases here.
And there is the try. In goes Jack McRogers. And just like that, a little over 2 minutes into the match, and the Arrows come out with the first 5 of the night.
It doesn't matter, they haven't had any preseason games. We talked about the continuity before, but continuity is what got them to this try. They built phases off an untidy line out. They were very patient. They know this Atlanta team likes to blitz on defense, and Taylor Adams did a beautiful job recognizing the space on the outside. As we see the replay here, this is the final pieces. This came from building 5-6 phases. And this was great work by Adams, but an even better line by McRogers as he sizes up the mismatch and goes in right next to the post.
Beautifully executed by the Toronto Arrows. Chris Silverthorne's been their head coach since they started. They're now in their 3rd season. The last 2 years put together, this was a team that was 15-6. That's pretty good any level, no matter where you play in this sport, isn't it?
Excellent record for sure.
So the conversion good, a 7-0 lead for Toronto. And those of you that may be unfamiliar with this great sport, you score, you get it right back. Make it, take it, right?
Yeah.
So Toronto out to a great start. Get a little separation here, and they do, and they'll quick kick it down the pitch it goes, and see if Rugby ATL can get something going. They haven't had the ball here. Is this match already with a 7-0 lead for Toronto? Rugby ATL Little momentum there. Dug free, spun free to the back to the speed guys. There's one of those players that you and I were talking a lot about. Great matchup between the two sevens tonight.
Yeah, Matt Heaton versus Lucas Rumble. Teammates and former roommates going head-to-head in this matchup.
Both wearing jersey number 7. Good tackle there in the open field, turned in by the Arrows. No Kurt Coleman tonight, as Stacy and Mark touched on, and our pregame show, as I'll call it. That's a huge loss for them. What's the biggest areas that affects them, or is it every area?
Well, you look at your 10. Your 10's essentially your quarterback. He runs the offense, and him stepping out, and then obviously Robbie Pedzer, who's on the bench tonight, he was going to play 10, so just a lot of changes leading up to the game. It's going to take a little bit to settle into their pattern and find some continuity.
And last year in the 5 games that Rugby ATL played, what in your mind was really their calling card? What were they the best at? What do they do well?
They are very physical on attack, but what really made it for me is, you talk about 24 of these players, first-year professionals. Nowhere else in the history of pro sports have you had a pro franchise with 24 brand new players. But they generated the fastest ruck speed in the league, 2.84 seconds. That means the defense can't get organized and gives their attack a great attacking platform.
Good stuff. Here's the line out coming for Rugby ATL. Well executed. Bit of a maul ensues there, and they push forward, and Rugby ATL inside of the 5-meter line. So a good response here from Scott Lawrence and his crew as they are pushing towards the try line right between the posts. Now, this is an area that just a couple of days ago, if you score the try in between the posts, it is 7 points in the MLR now. They're forced outside here, and the push is on. And did they ground it on the try? That's going to be the question. And they say yes. What a response for Rugby ATL, James.
And it all came from their line out. Last season, they scored 2 tries off the rolling ball against the Arrows. We talked to Chris Silverthorne early in the week. He said, we've got to control the maul. It was an excellent take by Connor Cook as they wheeled that maul around. You're going to see on the replay just some good work by their forward pack. They are a very big physical pack.
So the 2-point conversion coming here to tie it. Man, if this is any indication, we're in for some points tonight, partner.
And it's going to be one of these things. You just start, and we talked about match fitness early, but there's so much adrenaline going through these guys' veins right now.
That's something you and I were talking about. I asked you as a former player, as Curra here with the conversion attempt, and it's up and good, and we're tied at 7. You said in a way it could almost be a good thing because the teams haven't played for so long. Explain.
Yes, it is. We'll just watch this replay here. Great take. Connor Cook coming across. He was Glendale's main target, or Colorado Raptors' main target, and they just wheeled the small. The Arrows had very little after this point, and this is just good work from a forward pack. Working in 2s. We talk about working in 2s. We're creating 2 feet into 4. Makes it very hard to stop. Cook gets involved one more time, and then they're able to push the ball over.
So Rugby ATL with it right back on the kick from Toronto. And so I want to follow up and go back to that. In your experience, I mean, nobody's had a year off unless you're injured, and you have in your career. Why do you think that could be an advantage for these teams, or not so much an advantage, but maybe not a bad thing they haven't played in so long?
Well, rugby's a physical game. You rely on adrenaline to really get over the gain line, and these guys have a lot of adrenaline right now. What they're going to want to control, though, is they want to wheel that in. Sometimes you're a little bit too enthusiastic, and you force that ball, and those handling errors are costly at professional level.
Good stuff. 8 years as a pro in this great sport. Former USA Eagle James Patterson. My name is Ben Holden, all of our crew. Great to have you with us for the opening weekend of MLR. And this portion of the match is brought to you by the Transplant Games of America and Team Georgia. And they have joined forces with Rugby ATL to support organ, eye, and tissue donation. Currently, there are over 110,000 Americans waiting for a life-saving organ. You can save a life by registering to be a donor today at registerme.org/TGA. So Toronto back with it, James, and I mean, they look like a well-oiled machine in that first possession down the field, didn't they?
They did, and what they're doing, they're very organized on defense. You can watch them through this game. Very contrasting defensive styles. Atlanta like to play what we call an umbrella defense. They come in very hard with lots of line speed from the outside. Toronto, on the other hand, they're much more controlled, and essentially they fan out across the field, and they rely on the fact that one-to-one they're going to make that tackle.
Injury here as they tend to Ben Lesage. They're 13 tonight, one of those 15 Canadians in the match, and welcome those watching on TSN up in Canada. Great to have them with us. And you know, we talked about Toronto, and they partnered up with Rugby ATL. I mean, think about the National Hockey League. They played late last summer. They bubbled in Edmonton and Toronto. This year, the 7 NHL teams are all in the same division. This is incredibly unique, what they're going through. And, you know, we had a conversation with Chris Silverthorne, and he said, yeah, the first couple weeks I'm not worried about our guys, but we got to make sure that we stick to the process. And that's going to be something that's key. And into the game for Toronto is Gaston Mires, wearing number 23 tonight.
Yeah, Mires is a great player. 67 test caps for Uruguay, and he was a real spark plug in their attack last season.
So on the line out here, it's Jack McRogers, who scored the Toronto try, product of Newmarket, Ontario, just outside of the great city of Toronto.
Referee blew the whistle there, taking that maul down. I thought they defended it pretty well. If I was the Arrows here with a little bit of momentum behind them, they'll pop this into the corner as they're doing right now through Ferguson. So hard to defend. This rolling maul from 5 meters close to the line is one of the most critical attacking passages of play you can have.
Here's McRogers. They go short on it. It's got to go 5 meters, and it did. That was well past that hash mark on the field. Battle ensues as Rugby ATL trying to rip it out of there, but they can't get their hands on it to get it away from the Arrows.
Penalty against ATL.
Another penalty, so they're going to plug it right back into the corner. You've got to be careful here. Discipline close to your goal line. One more of these penalties, the referee's going to have a conversation. You do not want to go one player down so early in this matchup.
Yeah. So it'll be McRogers again triggering it here. Do you do something like they did last time there? Do you go short with such a, you don't have very far to go, or what do you do here? What's your choice here if you're making the call here?
Well, they caught them napping last time to that quick front pod, but to the back of the line out, that rolling maul is very hard to defend.
Okay. They decide to go the conventional route. There is the rolling maul, trying to push this thing in, and they continue the push. It spins, it winds, the body's tied up. Came out of there, it's picked back up by the Arrows. They are close to the try line. You have to ground it though, and they blow the whistle, and they say it's in. So that's another try for Toronto. That is just sheer determination, grit, and power, and the Arrows are on top 12-7 with a 2-point conversion kick pending.
Yeah, very hard to defend. We talked about that rolling maul from the goal line. They were able to spin it round here, and what they do is they actually catch a number of the ATL defenders on the short side, and that creates the mismatch. And this is great heads-up play from Tommy Della Vega. Della Vega last season led the team in carries. He's an inspirational leader for them, and I expect him to have his stamp on this game and absolutely everything.
So Andrew Ferguson, scrum half tonight for Toronto. We'll look to put right boot into it. Make this a 14-7 game, and that's right down Peachtree Avenue. We are in Atlanta tonight, 14-7. What are your thoughts so far on this? So we had 21 points in this thing in 12 minutes, and you surprised?
Not really.
No?
I expected the defense to be a little suspect to start the season.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of these things. You can only replicate a certain amount of that game speed and intensity at trainings. It's hard. You can't put 15 on 15 in a 30-man squad and just beat each other up all week, although we know Atlanta likes to do it.
It's part of their DNA, right? It's what they do. So Toronto with a 7-point lead And with the ball once again, and
advantage.
taken out of there by Ferguson. Play to the back line.
Ruck. 5 ends.
Yeah, the ruck was formed there, and a little bit, it's really difficult when that ruck line's formed. The tackle player, essentially the offside line is formed where the ball is, and the ball was available, and the ATL player wanted to reach in and grab that ball. You can't do that. It was a ruck at form, so the penalty going against them.
Referee tonight, Mike Lash, Cisco Lopez, Dave Edwards. AR1 and AR2 booted away here by Toronto. 13 and a half gone by in the 40-minute first half here, the opening weekend of the MLR season. Busy Saturday of games around the league. One tomorrow. James will be on that one with Nola Gold and Old Glory squaring off. They had to wait a day, but they're going to play the game tomorrow. Here's a little pooch ahead, trying to get it into space. Nice job coming up there on the run by Rory Van Voot. And they get it out near the halfway line. They quickly kick it away. And the Arrows sure-handed back there with it. To converge on the ball carrier there, taken out by Ferguson.
Thank you.
Not much room to operate there. Good job staying home there by Rugby ATL. There was nowhere to go. Awkward going up to try to get that ball was Van Voot. Could not make the play, and Toronto comes away with it. They try to break the halfway line, and they do, into Rugby ATL territory. You talked about the testosterone is up. You can see a little bit of it there, right, in that ruck.
Very good defense around the fringes from this ATL side.
See what they can do here, and Van Skalkvik thought about playing that.
This is exactly the game plan that you need to use against a blitzing defense. We saw it. The last passage of play, 3 little kicks over the top, contestable kicks. What that does to the defense is it means the defense can't rush up anymore. They've got to slow the line speed to enable the space in behind to be covered.
The Hampton Inn and Suites Marietta, Rugby ATL's official hotel partner, in just 6 minutes from the stadium. With free breakfast, fast Wi-Fi, and friendly service, you can wake up recharged and ready for game day. Check out our exclusive Rattler rates on Rugby ATL's website.
There it is, great work at the breakdown. We talked about Lucas Rumble. There's a reason he's in that Canadian side. He's very physical. He was able to get over the top of the ball, the isolated ball carrier, and force that turnover. So far, penalties really costing this ATL side.
Toronto looking for some territory here, and well placed there, right near the 5-meter line, and that's where they'll have the line out upcoming here.
And I love this new attack from the Arrows. Last year, Sam Malcolm was so good with his boot. They would take 3 points, but at this stage, they know that territory is important, and they want to come away with points. Very hard to defend, as we discussed early from this ball.
Yeah, Malcolm playing in Japan now, no longer a part of the Arrows outfit. Here's that rolling maul again. Toronto trying to get it going. Heavy battle continues. He's hitting the deck all over the place.
That was excellent defense from Atlanta. They were able to match up the numbers, especially, and counter the wheel of that maul. When that ball goes to ground, then the players all dive in on it, because the ball going to ground, if the ball's not playable, it's a turnover.
Bloody lips, rubber pellets all over the faces of the players. It's rugby season again. Opening weekend here in the MLR. The scrum coming up here. Roman Gauss has the ball for Atlanta.
He's been a big pickup for them. He's played professional rugby all over the world, most recently down in New Zealand. Played for Otago in the Mitre 10 Cup.
Successful on that scrum was Rugby ATL. Played back and booted away.
Just
Where
a
do they
chance to
spot
clear
this?
their goal line.
Yep.
I mean, they've been under the pump, down by their goal line. At the end of the day, penalties and handling errors are costing this side. We know that these guys are a young side in terms of the players, but they've had a lot of time to play together, so they just need to kind of settle into this game a little bit more and then rely on doing what they're good at, generating quick ruck ball and applying pressure on defense. Looks like the blood substitution is going to come back on the field here.
Yep.
Blood sub coming back on for Toronto.
Only in rugby. Love it. Mick Rogers on the line out here for Toronto. He's on the scoreboard tonight. First try in this match. Nifty little play there by Rugby ATL to release the pressure. Gathered in by Toronto and a quick tackle made on that far sideline. Good look at that ruck as the ball comes free. Taken out by Ferguson, spins it back, and right there to make the tackle was Marno Redalingus right away, big number 4 for Rugby ATL.
Leave him alone, leave him alone.
Needed some help there. You heard the referee say leave him alone. On the run, that one knocked and bobbled and recovered by Toronto there. And now we get a
We
stoppage.
go to the knock on, but if you do that again.
It's a good play, though. We talked about Ferguson. Ferguson has been very good box kicking in this game. Every single kick he puts up, we say the magic rule is you want to kick that ball about 25 meters. Gives your chasers a good opportunity and put just a lot of pressure there. It was Talapusi coming from the back, and he just couldn't handle possession.
10 caps in the career with Canada, of course, for Ferguson.
And the side is littered with Canadian international experience.
Yeah.
You look across all the rosters, there's more internationals playing together, and that continuity is something that Coach Silverthorne really talked about as the foundation for how they play. That's that chemistry that these guys develop over years.
Rolled in the back of that scrum by Ferguson. Comes free, gets it. Here they come wide. Some speed right up the middle of the pitch. On the run, here they come. Good offload there. Ball knocked away, back into the hands, though, safely. Parfrey there, so an explosive play there from Toronto.
What a tackle at the back. That was excellent work, slicing right through the hole. Coming right back onto the field was Lesage. And that was really a try-saving tackle because they had plenty of numbers out to the right.
So coming up on 20 minutes and change gone by, we'll step aside with Toronto up by 7 on Rugby ATL.
Back where the Toronto Arrows are leading Rugby ATL 14-7, and it's hard to believe, but just over a year ago, Major League Rugby actually canceled its season, so this is the first action of the year here for Rugby ATL, and I caught up with some of the fans before today's game, and clearly they are excited to be back here and excited to have rugby back in Atlanta. I caught up with some fans, and you know, they're just happy to be here, guys. And I talked to some players too, and they're happy to have rugby back as well.
All right, Alex, thanks. Down on the pitch, and 2 of the first 3 games for Rugby ATL are on the home pitch against Toronto, of course, tonight. And then round 3, they'll take on the Legion of San Diego, always a tough group. And, you know, it's been a long time. I asked you, James, when we started here, when this match started, just before I said, when's the last time you did a game? And you had to think about it a little bit, didn't you? It's been a long time for you.
Over a year.
Yep, on the run. Nice handoff there, and a great tackle from behind by Lesage there to save a try for Rugby ATL. But they have responded close to that try line, a couple of meters away. They dig on, trying to power towards the line and have a chance to even this game up, this matchup at 14 apiece. Taken out. Heavy shot there. McRogers trying to stop it. Can they? No, it's in for the try for Rugby ATL. And it's a 14-12 game. They did that in a hurry, and they're 2 away from tying this match up.
Talk about answering exactly the way they wanted to. We know this Atlanta side scores most of their tries off line out, and it was a classic example of a brilliant set-piece move. So we see the try scorer, Johan Momsen. He is a big man. Very hard to stop that close to the goal line.
Arrows huddled up, trying to catch their breath there, and the conversion is up and through, and it's a 14-all game. You see on the scorebug there is a kick clock. It's no longer 90 seconds, now 60 as we look back at the try here in the lineout, starting with that, James.
Yeah, great work. Nice flat ball. Skura takes it to the line, and coming around the corner is the try scorer. A little roll in Momsen. It was Momsen to Cook. And this was a try-saving tackle here at the back, but good job by Atlanta. Marshalling their troops and rolling around, and Momsen with a second touch. Deservedly so. He started it, and he finishes it.
Yep. Gets rewarded. Pyrotechnic smoke on the pitch there, hovering over as Rugby ATL gets it. And Momsen, a product of South Africa. His dad was a local high school coach. Started the game at 6. How old were you, partner, when you started?
Around that age.
Yeah. Sent back the Toronto way. Ferguson's got it. No help back there, so he just boots that one into touch here. He's played a little more than 24 minutes, 28 points on the board here so far.
A little bit of a kicking duel there. Definitely wins the ATL. It's interesting to see. They're playing their man, Bautista Escura, back there. We talked to the coach, Scott Lawrence. He's got a really nice left boot on him. They're choosing to shield him over to that side of the field, and that interchange was definitely a win to a team that had the most kicks of any team in the league last year, 110 kicks.
There's a method to their madness with that, right? For sure. And I got a chance, want to remind you and let you know that this portion of the match is brought to you by the official coffee company of Rugby ATL, Chattahoochee, and proud partner of the development of the community through the sport of rugby. 3 locations across Atlanta. Be sure to stop by for a great cup of coffee with even better service. This game has been like a cup of coffee. 28 points on the board, more than halfway through the first half here of this match.
Segment to the sideline. They're going to take the points here. And there's the man that won that cooking deal that led to the penalty. Off the line out, Bautista Escura. We talked about how big of an addition he has. A prodigy through the Argentinian system. Played for the U20s. He played Super Rugby for the Jaguares. He's got 5 caps in the men's 15 side, and he's got over 57 caps for their 7 side. So he's going to be that experience that's needed, because inside of him there's been some big shakeups.
Sure has. So here he is with the kick, 4-3 from distance and off the right post. And Toronto will play it on the miss. Just missed it. Did Escura. A chance to put his team on top in this match for the first time. And an opportunity here, James, for Rugby ATL to do what they do, and that's defend and make some things happen back the other way on the offensive side. Short pitch for him here, the fly half handles. No Kurt Coleman for Rugby ATL tonight, out with a broken leg. That was Talapusi, who was dropped, dug out of there by Gauss. Toronto a little too much there from Cellini.
Oh, that was great work by Cellini. It was a good job by Atlanta building phases. One thing Scott Lawrence talked a lot to us about was the fact that he felt like his team played too structured. So in training, they do a lot of unstructured things, and we're starting to see that kind of fold through in their game. They're a lot more comfortable in these exchanges.
Sending a touch here, and line out upcoming. Yeah, Scott Lawrence saying, when you play Toronto, you must limit your mistakes. The Rugby ATL head coach saying that. Jack McRogers with the ball. Here we go on the lineup. And Rugby ATL comes away with it. Nice job getting up to take that away by Connor Cook, a guy they were really high on, a big signing for their team this season. Arrows play it. Good pursuit of the ball by Rugby ATL.
Not on the ball. No. Ball's gone.
Ferguson got it out of there, but again, those gray and black shirts right there for Rugby ATL. Booted away here by Toronto. Oh, and it could have been a high hit there.
Another great kick from Ferguson.
Yeah, good.
It looks like we do have an injured player down there, but that comes from that contestable kick. Ferguson is on the spot every time, and a little bit of confusion there. Player coming backwards, a player coming forward, and they collided.
So they are tending to the injured player for Rugby ATL. Let's take a look back here, James. We'll get a couple of looks at this of that play with the injured player down. So it was Talapusi. I can't see that number, so I'm not going to speculate, but Talapusi's the one that incidentally hit his teammate there.
Yeah, and this stretch is coming on. I think it was the other winger, Harley Davidson. And again, came from a perfect kick. Talapusi had to really get on his horse to get up there.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. It drops right in between, and it was a nasty collision.
Not a good sight. You never want to see that. They're bringing the stretcher out to tend to the injured players. The clock is halted now with 28:17 gone by in the first half of this match. You just hope for the absolute best anytime you see this, no matter what the sport. The stretcher out on the field, and you see the ATL players huddle up there. There's Momsen kind of directing, doing a little coaching on the field there, talking with his guys. 2-3 a season ago for Rugby ATL, 4-1 for Toronto before the COVID shutdown. They continue to tend to the injured member of Rugby ATL, and we believe it is Harley Davidson, the injured player.
Yeah, let's hope he's okay.
Yeah.
He's been a great addition from, he played his professional rugby to start with out at Colorado. He was scintillating, scored a lot of tries in Major League Rugby, and he was a real big addition and pickup for this ATL side. We've talked about, you know, the fact that you've got these players that have a lot of experience playing in very strong sides. They come in, player very familiar with the area. Let's hope he's okay.
Yeah, I played for head coach Scott Lawrence at Life University on this very pitch, and originally from Boise, Idaho. Started the game about 10 years ago, and as James said, back in the South after a little time with the Glendale Raptors, and being very careful with him, respecting the fact that he's down. That's why we don't have a camera right in there, and they are tending to him. There's a handful of medical personnel on the pitch to help and assist, and you see some of the fans. It is good to see fans back. We're seeing that more and more, and
how good is it?
It's great. It's great.
This is the dose of medicine we all need right
You're
now.
Right.
It's great to see rugby back on the field. We've been itching because we've been watching down in the Southern Hemisphere.
Six Nations.
Yep, Six Nations, Southern Hemisphere, Super Rugby, packed crowds.
I'm hooked on the league in Australia now. I've been watching that every week. I don't want to take away from our great league because we got a lot of great things coming in the league, obviously, but it's good to see fans back, and it's been over a year since, I mean, I live outside Detroit, and Rudy Gobert, that was really the first domino that led to every sport. If you don't know, he plays for the Utah Jazz. He tested positive in Detroit, and within a couple days, I mean, every sport around the United States and most around the globe were shut down.
Yeah, we talked about the challenges even that ATL's facing. ATL's had a significant hurdle to overcome. Obviously, they had that last preseason game cancelled. They had 6 players unavailable for selection, and that goes a lot. And that 2 weeks ago, they weren't able to train at all. So it's not ideal preparation, but they're making it through it, and they're putting a good effort out on the pitch.
Yeah, 2 staff members as well as the 6 you were referring to, and they felt something happened in between the time they went to Utah and got back and had to isolate everybody. They broke the team up, then brought them in waves, and those, you hear that phrase in sports, no matter what sport it is, those small groups. And yeah, it's been a long road for everybody. So they continue to tend to the injured Rugby ATL player, Harley Davidson, you see on the far side, middle of your picture there. And Rugby ATL just trying to stay loose, man. You hate to see this. This has been a lengthy injury, and anytime you have a head injury or a head and neck injury, I mean, you played this sport at a high level for a long time, and I asked you before how many times you'd been hurt, and it was a laundry list of things. It's a dangerous sport, we know that, and you hope that he's okay. We're going to step aside and take a quick timeout here between Rugby ATL and Toronto in a tie match. We are back. Rugby ATL in Toronto. Ben Holden, James Patterson, all of our crew. A long injury delay. One of the comrades of Rugby ATL down on the pitch. They continue to tend to him, James. And just a play where 2 guys trying to go up and make a play on a ball, simply put, right?
Yeah, it's one of those unfortunate things, just a lack of communication there, but that's just hope for Harley Davidson's well-being in this situation. I'm sure they're doing everything possible on the sideline to ensure his safety.
Yeah, so these 2 teams, I mean, Toronto came out, they scored, I believe it was 2:15 was the time that he had expired in this match. And I mean, they steamrolled right down the field. This has been a pretty offensive game here so far, obviously with 14 aside here. What are your big takeaways or takeaway from this match so far?
Their intention is to punish any infringements or mistakes in this game so far. Atlanta came out early and too many infringements, too many turnovers, and in that situation, the Arrows have clear intentions. They're going to boot it down into the corner, and they're going to make you defend a very, very cohesive ball close to the goal line.
Saw that on their second try, and we've got an opportunity here as they continue to tend to Harley Davidson, the injured Rugby ATL player, and take a look back at some of the key moving pictures in the match so far. Here we go with the Arrows first, James.
Yeah, this is great work. And this was just building phase after phase after phase early on. Came from attacking down against the blitz defense and some great running lines by a player, Jack McRogers. Everybody's very high on this young Canadian player. U20 in 2017 and 18 for Canada. Runs a great line set up by Taylor Adams, scoring right next to the post.
Rugby ATL, they counter. They come back. Good response. Exactly what you want to see, right?
Yeah, and using their size to their advantage. They've got a lot of big bodies in their forward pack. Very difficult to stop by that close, and very difficult to stop is this rolling ball again. Just good job here, trapping some of the Atlanta players. A little unstructured on the blind side. And Tommy Della Vega darting over.
Just to follow up on McRogers, I'll get back to that in a moment as we see Rugby ATL, and they come back in a very, very good, as Momsen did the work, and in the end, James got rewarded.
Yeah, he is a big man, Momsen, and you see just good patience here, working in 2s and 3s. Momsen comes in at the last moment, notices the pillars standing a little bit upright. Every time that first defender isn't down low, you've got an opportunity, and a guy that's that big virtually just needs to fall over that close to the goal line.
Yep. And just to follow up, go back to McRogers, you mentioned a 22-year-old. He's a 98 birth year. He played in just 2 matches in the last 2 years with Toronto. apparently that Pacific Pride program out there in BC is doing some good things for him, right?
Yeah, they are. And if you look at the player he's kept on the bench as well, I mean, there's some good talent in this front row position.
That is a show of respect and sportsmanship. I've done a lot of sports in my life, in my career. In this sport, to me, you will meet some of the most respectful men and women you'll find in the world. And we are thinking of Harley Davidson as they take him off. They'll take him to a nearby hospital, and we get a word or any kind of updates, we will give it to you the second we get it.
Right. Tom back on, scrum, blue.
When you go through something like that, James, you've been through it, I know you have. When you're a player and you see that happen, what's it like when you're out there on the pitch and you got to pick things back up and get back to playing?
Well, it's gut-wrenching to see, you know, it's a brother, someone you've been with here, you know, they've been together almost for a year, so anytime that happens, it's very hard, but these guys are professionals for a reason. The light switch is back on, they're back into the game.
Back to it. A beautiful game, right? On to the scrum, tied up, whistle comes from referee Mike Lash.
It's that formidable front row by the Arrows, and a massive pickup for them was Rodrigo Cortes. He is the consummate professional. He's had plenty of scrums in his career. He's 35 years old. He's been with the Bristol Bears, the Leicester Tigers. He's played for Argentina, and it's making it very, very difficult for Chance Wingluski.
One of 3 Argentinians that is signed with Toronto. That was something you and I first talked in the week, and you were getting me up to speed on this Toronto team. They got something about those players from that country, isn't it?
It's that flair.
Yeah.
You know, these guys in Canada, Chris Silverthorne talked about it. They play very regimented, structured rugby. It's like putting a little bit of sparkle into your water. It's going to create a little bit of a
little cayenne pepper.
A little cayenne pepper, and that's exactly what Argentina brings to your lineup.
Exactly. That's good stuff. This one knocked on here, and we'll get a whistle and get a restart coming up as we approach 30 minutes gone by in the match. In the final 10 minutes of this first half. Each team with 2 tries so far. Rugby ATL, they had a penalty kick. They tried, they missed it off the post, off the boot of Bautista Ezcurra earlier here, about 7-8 minutes ago of match play. So the scrum upcoming here, it'll be triggered here by Roman Gauss, scrum half for Rugby ATL.
And this is a new rule we talked about this season. So they're only allowed 1 reset in the scrum. So this scrum here, if it's not clean, will either lead to a free kick or a penalty.
One of a handful of changes instituted in the last couple of days by the MLR.
I can tell you what, the change against the 10s don't like the fact they don't get the easy points in front of the post. And these big boys that eat extra meals up in the front row, they love their scrums. And so they're being robbed of another opportunity.
Gauss rolls it in. And another whistle. And Rugby ATL, they are guilty there, right?
Yeah, and again, too much pressure from the experience in this front row. The Arrows had one of the best scrums in the league last year, and they're showing exactly why they did it. Last year, they forced 17 penalties just through 5 games, and already today, 2 penalties as you start to see that cohesive scrum come together.
Good stuff. MLR fans, this is the first weekend that MLR matches are streamed on the new platform, the Rugby Network. Make sure to sign up for this free service at www.therugbynetwork.com. If you missed any matches all weekend, they're all available on demand on the Rugby Network, as well as other great highlights and content and behind the scenes looks. So here is that penalty kick, and that one's, well, I'd call that a chip shot.
22 dropout.
And that's something they're missing this year. Sam Malcolm was an ace off the tee. And, you know, will that come into play? They scored a lot of points from penalties. Be interesting to see how that lays out.
So 2 kicks missed, 1 by each team. That one was wide right. Toronto gets it right back. They spin it far side of the pitch, breaking the halfway line. Ferguson trying to get that back line going. On it again is Ferguson. And that one,
Play on.
yep, they're gonna play on after that one was bobbled there by Rodrigo Cortez. Fly half there, Taylor Adams.
No, play on.
Slowden is tracks.
No, he's not on the ball. Stay out. Stay out.
One part of this great game I love, you hear those referees in there, and there's no second guessing. You may not like what they're calling, but you know what's going on at all times. It's a great thing here in MLR. Great battle for it. Rugby ATL comes away with it, and they release the pressure. They boot it down the pitch.
Dave. 22.
It came from some very good defense from this ATL side. They're very physical, and at the moment, the Arrows, without the kick, there's just lacking a little bit of depth in their attack and a little bit of execution. What these guys need to do is they got to play out the back against a blitz defense. You can't play up in their face. ATL there, very, very strong interior defense.
Ball down and out, whistle, and it's going to stay with Toronto.
Knock on.
Heard it there, knock-on call, and you bobble,
Atlanta's
fumble it.
from.
Referee calling it there as we come up on 6 minutes remaining in the first half here. Scrum upcoming.
Stability again, men. Stability.
Let's see what kind of height we get from this
Crouch.
ATL front row in this scrum. Interesting to note, you know, you've got team man Alex Mohan there. So Alex Mohan plays for the US Eagles. He's in the mix. Gary Gold wants him to be a hooker, but he's such a good teammate. He's willing to play out of position and play in the prop position.
Booted away by Toronto. A little space here.
Fine, hang on.
Send one ahead. Arrows play it. Ferguson. Beg your pardon, that was Adams 10, not 9. Adams the 10, the fly half tonight. Ferguson the scrum half at 9. There he is to find the ball. Good hard line right there. And there's Redalingus, another big tackle. We've called his name a couple of times here in the last 5-6 minutes of this first half.
No, you know what? No, release.
On the run, the play made by Talapusi.
No, he's not in position here.
Not much there for him, though. And that one
Fine, it's lost.
bobbled. We play on. Toronto with the ball.
Let go! Run! Yeah. Ball's gone, ball's gone, ball's gone.
They get it free, and now Ferguson. Let's get down to the pitch. Alex Glaze with an update on Harley-Davidson. Alex.
Hey guys, you know, obviously we just saw Harley-Davidson go down with a really scary injury just a couple minutes ago. Got a quick update. He's going to be going to Wellstar Kennestone Hospital to get checked out. He is alert though and was able to answer some questions, and as he was being taken off the pitch gave a thumbs up. So obviously, all things considered, a good sign.
Thank you, Alex. That's good to hear, and that's step one of hoping he's all right. Appreciate the update from Alex. Line out here, Rugby ATL. Final 4 minutes of the first half and a tie match.
Hold. Yep, good.
The ball here from Rugby ATL.
No.
It's in the hands there
Now,
of
forward. He's
Garrica.
done
Now taken out of there and to the outside of the pitch. Back to
Take
Garrica.
No. Fine, it's off the feet.
Spun free. Redalingus.
Rattler fans, get on your feet and make
Monson
some
played it back.
noise.
And a good play there defensively. Stepping up to make that play was Taylor Adams.
Maybe that was
Penalty
just
against
offside.
Toronto.
Referee was playing advantage.
Let me hear you, Rattlers.
And that's a good second man play out the back. Big speculative pass. They did have the advantage there. But this is good stuff from Rugby ATL. Coming from this rolling mauls, we know they've got a good line out. Even better line out this way when you add a guy like Connor Cook into the mix. Connor Cook was the leading jumper out at Colorado and Glendale, and you've seen it tonight already. And another opportunity, bang it in the corner. and really put some pressure on at 14 all. Couple minutes left for halftime. This score is massive.
Two teams met last season in round 4, a 28-18 win for Toronto.
Advantage in the air, 6.
They've got it to Rugby ATL. Here comes that rolling maul again. Pushing on. Trying to take the lead is Rugby ATL toward the try line and not in yet.
He's going back to the advantage. What happened there, contesting the line out, but you're not allowed to engage with the player who takes the ball in the air. He needed to wait till he got to the ground before he wrapped his arms around it. But another great example, and how good of an example, their number 10, Duncan Van Skalkwyk, adding, I'm not sure how much power he added to that maul coming in, maybe another 50 cc's, a little Honda moped sliding in on the side there.
Well done.
But here he comes, coming in the side, and it's just good continuity from this line out and good engagement again, because right now you can't give away a penalty. He's already given you a warning.
You just took me back to my my teenage years of riding a moped. Off the line out, here comes the rolling maul again from Rugby ATL. They are close, but not in yet. Over the line, did they get it down? There it is. Great work, you said it, James. That line out and that rolling maul, and it's working for both teams tonight in this match, and Rugby ATL on top by 5.
A game of 2 halves, well, a game of 2 halves in this first half. It has been all ATL. Great work here, just staying connected. There was only one defensive player, and they showed the patience to wait for the support player, and at that stage, the ATL train was on its tracks over the goal line.
Steaming ahead in the final minute of this first half, and great work and a great response. You and I talked about that after the injury to Davidson, and Rugby ATL is, well, they've acted, as you said, they're professionals, and they've responded with a great response, and they've got a 5-point lead here in the late stages of half number 1.
And you can see that kick clock counting down, 5 seconds to kick it.
Yep.
And it's going to come down. They'll have to get the kick off before halftime. The clock has expired.
There it is, up and off the post, and it goes through. Off the right and inside of the left. So the conversion complete by Rugby ATL, and they're on top by 7 as it was booted there by Bautista Ezcurra. So what a half. 35 points in the opening half. What are your thoughts on this one through 40, James?
Yeah, we just spoke about it. It has been all Atlanta since the Arrows came out. Very hot early.
Opening weekend of MLR action on the pitch. Toronto and Rugby ATL, 35 points put up in the first half. Halftime comes your way after this.
Line up at the 35.
Hey friends, so happy that you're with us inside our studios in Austin, Texas. I'm Stacey Pates alongside Mark Szczerbina. This is the Halftime Report presented by Geico. There are so many things going on with MLR. You have no excuse in missing any games or any of the action. One of those platforms is the rugbynetwork.com. This is the first weekend we've streamed all games live. I'm so excited. I've got it locked and loaded. Let's find out more about the Rugby Network.
Soon as he out and finished his bid, we finna do it bigger than anybody ever did. The odds is real big, jobs that's real big. Satan trying a little, my God is real big. Stayed up on the grind and the cards is real big. I gotta do it big, the only way that I can live. And I promise I'm trying to. Before you count me out, homie, let me remind you, they was blocking the shine. Now I think it's my time to count for them dollar signs like
Game highlights, behind the scenes action, all the cool things. You can get onto it right now. Did you see it's free?
It's free.
I
So
mean,
strap yourselves in, folks.
It's good. It's on my phone. You wanna know what else is on my phone? I'm gonna tell you. The MLR app. Get on that too, because the MLR app is constantly updated. We've got tons of great stuff going on. You're not going to miss a single thing. Check out MLR app.
Sit tight, everyone. have it, folks. Sit tight because you have plenty of MLR action coming your way.
Can't wait. Thanks for watching the Halftime Report presented by Geico. Inside our studios in Austin, Texas, I'm Stacey Pates alongside Mark Sherbina. Halftime Report is presented by our friends at Geico. Now listen, when I first started watching rugby, instantly fell in love with it. Now if you don't know a lot about the sport, we've got you covered. I mean, of course we do. And the fabulous Shalom Suniola is going to take us through Rugby 101.
Welcome to Rugby 101. It's said that the game of rugby as we know was born in 1823 as a variation of soccer when William Webb Ellis decided to pick up the ball and run with it. Now let's go over the rules of the game, or laws as we call them. A rugby match consists of 2 halves of 40 minutes each and is played on a field, or a pitch, that is 100 meters long. The 2 teams field 15 players each made up of 8 forwards and 7 backs, and have 8 reserves available on the bench. But all players are involved in offense, defense, tackling, ball handling, and scoring. The main goal is to score more points than the opposing team, and there are several ways you can score points. The first way is to score with a try. You can score a try by running with the ball over the opponent's goal line, similar to a touchdown in football, except in rugby, you have to actually touch the ball down on the ground. Scoring a try is worth 5 points, and after a try, you have the opportunity to score 2 additional points through a conversion. The kick to convert the try must be taken in line from where the try was scored and must pass through the goalpost and above the crossbar. The third way to score points is with a penalty kick. If your opponent commits a foul, you may choose to kick the ball just like a field goal in football, and that's worth 3 points. A drop goal is the fourth way to score points. At any time during the match, you can drop the ball in front of you and kick it immediately after it hits the ground. If you're able to kick through the post, just like a conversion or penalty kick, you are awarded 3 points as a result. A unique thing about rugby is that a player can't pass the ball forwards. They can only pass the ball backwards or sideways. Teams advance towards the opposition try line by either running with the ball or kicking it forward. Your opponents try to stop you by tackling and can only do so if you have possession of the ball. After each rugby match ends, all players, coaches, refs, reporters, and fans come together for an after-match celebration over food and drinks. It's the most unique aspect of our sport, that we come together with our opponents regardless of win or loss, to celebrate the sport of rugby itself.
Well, don't go anywhere, folks, because there is plenty of rugby action coming your way.
Inching closer to the start of the second half here, the opening weekend in the MLR with James Patterson. My name is Ben Holden, all of our crew, Rugby ATL. They gave up a try early to Toronto, but they responded with 21 points of their own. James, out of town, these numbers in any way wowing you, surprising you? What do you think?
Absolutely, the Legion. Top of the table every single year, lost to Rugby United New York and comprehensively 36 points to 29. And look at this, the newcomers, the Guiltinis, making a splash, 21 points to 17, leading right now the Free Jacks.
Hoping to mix up a Guiltini later. Moving pictures in the first half, here you go, take us through these. This is the try by McRogers that got Toronto going.
Yeah, it was all Toronto early, but then, you know what, this ATL side, once they settled in, that youth started to show real experience and a lot of power from these big men close to the goal line. Very, very difficult to stop. And from that point on, it was really all ATL. They made the most of all of their opportunities. And this one was some great work by Momsen off the line out. Momsen finishes it off strong. And then this line out. Once again, we're going to keep saying it all day, but it is very, very difficult to stop as they're able to pile this one over for another point right before halftime.
Kick there at the end that went through on the conversion by Azcura. Off the right, banged the right post, went through inside of the left post. And that's where we stand. What are your biggest takeaways with all these numbers on the screen, James?
You look at possession, 55% to the Arrows, but that's not right because 70% of that possession was actually inside of their 22. So they've been attacking from deep, and right now, Rugby ATL is just too hard to stop from set piece.
Those are our halftime stats presented by Revolution Chiropractic, the official chiropractic provider of Rugby ATL. Revolution team provides care for active families, expecting mothers, children, and athletes of all ages and abilities. Revolution Chiropractic, helping you get back in the game. Toronto in the blue uniforms on the road. That's going to be a thing they better get used to saying. They're going to be on the road for a while. They're sharing the facilities with their partners and their friends, Rugby ATL, due to COVID. They left on the 18th, which was Thursday of this month, just 2 days ago, to make their way down. And that was not an easy process, as we learned, James. It had 25 pages, they said, of documents from immigration lawyers, but MLR and everyone involved, George Killebrew, the commissioner, it's been a massive overtaking to get this season back, and I know you're fired up to have it back.
Yeah, it's great. Moving anywhere is difficult, and talking to Chris Silverthorne, he talked about the fact that they picked more of a Rugby World Cup roster here. They've taken 2 nines, 3 hookers, 5 props to build that depth, and of course they've got 5 players training in a high-performance environment in Canada right now, just ready to come in case there's injuries.
Yep, out there with the Pacific Pride. So the Arrows starting off this second half of the match, to me, in similar fashion, the way they started, this one bobbled, and Rugby ATL comes away with it off the hands of Taylor Adams, their fly half. The Arrows were on the board with a try with 2:15 gone in the match. They get it back here, though. Good work out of them, handled here by Lucas Rumble. We haven't really called his name a whole lot. Is that by design or just the way the game's flow?
Yeah, the game's flown. The Arrows have had real trouble. If you ask me, the ruck ball is far too slow. So at the start of the second half, they started to get quick ruck ball, and that forces ATL aggressive line to not be so aggressive. So that means you can get on the front foot, get across the gain lane, and that's just compounding. It's going to lead to pressure, and it's going to lead to mismatches.
The number you said earlier, was it like 2.5 seconds they were last year at getting it out of the ruck? Is that right?
That was ATL. ATL was 2.8 seconds, but the Arrows, they've got to be closer, well under 3 seconds if they want to take advantage of a good line speed from ATL.
What's a coach ideally want to see that number at? 2.5?
Oh, that would be very good. I'd be a happy coach if it was 2.5. Yeah, under 3 seconds.
Okay, anywhere between 2.5 and 3 then.
Yeah.
Got it. Whistle here. Crossing over there, it looked like on Toronto as they unfurl the pile.
Incorrect entry there. You can only enter from the last man's feet and from the width of whatever that play is on the ground. So if a player lays lengthways up and down the field, the gate's only as wide as his body. If he lays across the field, then it's the full width of his body, as we see here. Just coming in the side here, didn't come in from behind, clearing out at his own teammate, and went straight to ground as well.
Well done by you, and just 3 minutes gone here in the second half. Line out coming up for Rugby ATL here. 2-3 a season ago, 4-1 for Toronto. A 10-point win for the Arrows last year when they met on this very pitch. Taken out, played by Rugby ATL. They gain the halfway line and they're dropped there. Quickly out of that ruck. James was just talking about how good Rugby ATL is out of that. And send one skyward here. Handled and fielded and booted right back by Adams. Trying to get his footing in position there, unable to. Was Gauss, but has a teammate help him up, and it's taken out of there quickly by Heaton. Taken away, play to the back. Talapusi runs out of room. ATL with it now. Momsen, he's dropped right there. And Cumberland Diamond Exchange, the official jeweler of Rugby ATL, They're committed to going the extra mile, dedicated to exceeding your expectations. Experience to buy wisely and sell professionally. Cumberland Diamond Exchange, passionately engaging in relationships since 1982. I can take no credit for writing that. I just was asked to read it. Well written.
Another penalty for incorrect entry, and now a chance to really bang it down the field again and look to get some momentum on this attack. They've got to be attacking off the front foot.
Line out to Toronto.
So the Arrows with that said line out. Nick Rogers sends it in. Nice job by Rugby ATL. They break it up, and it came free there to Rory Van Voot. Into the ruck.
Stay here, stay here. Use it now. No, there's nothing in it. Play on, play on.
There you hear the referee, Mike Lash, the native of New Zealand. Arrows have it now. They put a charge on, but they're dropped. Played back by Ferguson, their scrum half. Near side, little fake there, turned in by Richardson, Mitchell Richardson. Canadian product, 15 in the lineup tonight for Chris Silverthorne of their 23. Played back by Ferguson. Not much there. Momsen was the first defender to the ball. A little bit of space there for Adams, but it evaporates. Bodies hitting the deck all over. Played out of the ruck there by the Arrows.
Diving over the top there. But again, really good pressure from this ATL side.
Yep.
As we see the first purses thrown of 2021. Obviously, we talked about it earlier. They're fierce opponents right now, but these guys are going to be roommates.
Yeah, they are, literally.
Cellmates, maybe, to some of them for the next.
Let's look back at what ensued here on this.
You can see there, just diving over the top, not supporting your own weight. But again, it came from some messy breakdown from this Arrows team. They've got to be better at presenting the ball and having quick ball, because if you watch, just keep an eye on the interior defense of ATL. They're not having to move, they're standing up and they're in an aggressive position, ready to take away the time and space.
Sanitized guest rooms to flexible meeting space, we have you covered. Check out the exclusive Rattler rates on Rugby ATL's.
Second season in MLR for Rugby ATL. Welcome those watching on TSN in Canada and those in the Atlanta metro area on 11 Alive and of course on the Rugby Network. Great to be with you here tonight for the opening weekend in MLR. Season 4, Season 3 of course shut down in early March. And we're going to get the kick here from Toronto. Setting it up.
Again, the magic play is what you call anytime you want an opportunity.
Yep.
So let's see where the Arrows tend to attack here. They mixed it up. They caught him napping earlier at the front of the line out, but the most difficult position to defend is that back jumping pod.
And a nice job to get up on said jump and maintain possession of that ball by the Arrows. Trying to further penetrate Rugby ATL territory here, getting near that 5 meter. About 5 meters shy of it right now. Rock ensues. Cole Keith, big number 1 in blue, came in there. Ball picked up by Rodrigo Cordes. The battle ensues. Charging ahead, pushing towards that 5 meter line is Toronto. Here's the referee in there, Mike Lash. Always communicating with the players on the pitch. Great job by the crew. Pooch here, and we get a whistle.
And it came from that aggressive defense around the breakdown. Rugby ATL was defending it well, but one of their players just got offside. And what do you think they might do here?
I got a pretty good feeling.
Going for a scrum.
Yep. Like it.
When you got that experience in the front row. And they really struggled, ATL, against this formidable front row. And we're talking about this front row being formidable, of course, because the addition in the offseason of Cortez, but they lost Richie Asiata. Richie Asiata was massive for them last year. All the best to him. We're seeing him playing Super Rugby down in Australia with the Queensland Reds. You know, that was a big loss, but they plugged and they filled. And exactly what they have now is a bunch of young, enthusiastic players learning off a wily old veteran.
Good way to learn. So they get him set. Mike Lash gets him set as he watches over. Toronto with the scrum. They'll roll in. Ferguson, their scrum half.
Sit.
And they'll reset here. And I want to remind you, this portion of the match is brought to you by Atco Energy, a leading distributor and manufacturer of specialty maintenance products for numerous industries and companies in the public and private sector, both nationally and internationally.
Again, the new rules mean that this has to be played cleanly, or it's a free kick or a penalty from there. There won't not be a third reset of the scrum. The first one, players weren't low enough body position, and the referee wasn't happy.
What's your feeling on that change? Yay or nay? Do you like it?
I think it's a good change. Anything that speeds up the game is fantastic.
I'm with you on that. As I continue to learn this great game, but I agree. Pace and flow is important, I think. So that didn't work.
And I would see they're going to put the additional pressure on here. Scrum, you can see the powerhouse. All set up by that strong drive, and we talk about, we talk about the tight head prop, but you also need to talk about the powerhouse behind him. There's the horsepower behind the big wheels at the front, and they've got plenty of experience in that second row. There with Adrian Wadden and Paul Cellini. Wadden's an interesting story. He's someone Chris Silverthorne had on his radar early. He was playing overseas, and fantastic from Chris Silverthorne to say, education's first. Let him finish his degree, and they brought him back into the side and straight into a starting position.
8 caps for him for Canada. Clock is stopped for the time being here.
That is correct. So, because of the reset with the new rules, don't think you can actually opt for another scrum in that situation.
Boot out and a touch there. So Toronto's going to go line out now. Into the match is Patrick Lynott, 17 there. He'll handle and deliver it here on this lineup. They get it. There's the setting up that rolling maul. Getting free on the outside there. Nearly getting away there was Cortez. But Rugby ATL able to get him, number 3 in blue. They're 1.5 meters away from that try line. And burrowing in there.
Almost foot. That's fine, that's fine.
Still not in. Looks like about a ball shy of the try line in the middle of your picture. Now picked up there. See the ball laid back there.
Use it.
And Cortez. And the whistle. And did he get in?
Not in the first movement, so when you're lunging towards the goal line, it has to be on the first movement. He was held on the tackle and he went for a second movement. That would have been a double movement, a penalty against to them. As we'll take a look in the replay here. Good initial lunge. He was held on the tackle, so doesn't have right to take that second movement towards the goal line.
Turnout, Alex Strong.
Rugby ATL trying to flex its muscle, literally and figuratively. Trying to make a stand here at the edge of the try line.
This is a massive scrum for Rugby ATL.
Inside of the 5 meter. Well, almost right at it, but knocking on the door. Higgins rolls it in, heads to the back, and Rugby ATL celebrating that victory.
Memory's only as good as the last play,
That's
and
right.
the last play was a great one.
That's right.
It was a good job in the front row. You see here, more consistent, even pressure coming through. Folding in on the left-hand side, couldn't support the weight. And penalty and a chance to clear the line. That was great defense by ATL. They're parked down there for the last 5-6 minutes.
Yep. Been a long time since these two teams have been on the pitch. 377 days for Rugby ATL. 379 for Toronto. Line out, nearly taken away. Momsen got up there for Atlanta to come away with it. Spun to the back, and down she goes. Arrows now. Lavis stopped in his tracks. Higgins spun it out of there, and it's picked up by Rugby ATL. Now they're in business after that try line stand. Knocking on the 22 here of Toronto. Good chunk of real estate picked up there by him. Spun to the back. Trying the outside and trying to make a play there was Batista Escura. He's trying to go right hand, underhand, but couldn't. Now back into the middle of the pitch for Rugby ATL. And Toronto comes up with it. Good work out of them. A penalty called on Rugby ATL.
It's just a brilliant individual effort, getting over the top of the ball. And really a chance to relieve. That was great attacking passage of play by Rugby ATL. They got quick balls, stretching sideline to sideline. And what I'd like to see them doing now is their interior attack pods are running really wide.
Up in the air. Toronto comes down with it. And Higgins gets it free. Good tackle turned in right there. Good solid work there from Jason Dom. Ball out, Higgins got the boot on it, sent it out of harm's way. This one bobbled, gathered back in by Rugby ATL. Toronto scored first, 2:15 into the match, but Rugby ATL with a 7-point lead. They had that lead at the half, if you're just tuning in.
Offsides from Toronto.
Quick stoppage here, and I want to let you know this portion of the match is brought to you by Barber Orthopedics, the title partner and official medical care provider of Rugby ATL, led by Scott Barber, MD. They provide comprehensive surgical, non-surgical services to Atlanta area patients in their 5 locations. Barber Orthopedics, exceptional care for an active life.
One thing you've seen in this game, potentially from both sides now, we talked about match fitness. If you watch them, they're just a little bit slower to get off the ground, a little bit slower to get into position. And when the 9 gets to the ruck, he wants to play fast, but there's just no options outside of him.
Good point. First game for these two teams in the entire league in over a year, a calendar year away. There are fans in attendance at the game here tonight. Limited capacity, but slowly making our way back as a country here. This Toronto team playing its season to begin, at least for several weeks. The plan is to play in Atlanta sharing the facility with Rugby ATL. These two teams will play again in early May. Cellini out of the match for Toronto. Michael Shepard, number 19, came in to replace him with the scrum coming up here, James.
Not a bad replacement anytime you can bring on a Rugby World Cup player. 11 caps with the Canadian national men's side. Anytime you can sub international for international, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Bind. Sit.
And this will take a second try. See 21 there for Toronto. Higgins, who didn't see him until the second half. Ferguson handled that scrum half duty in half number 1.
It was a nice little pickup for them. Came up from Rooney, played at Rooney in 2020 or the start of it. Munster A, and out of Ireland. Dual citizenship to Canada as well. It's nice to be able to bring on a little bit of impact, and the bench is going to be massive this season.
Yep.
We've talked about extending the length of the season. We've talked about some of the limitations around your roster size. Having those fresh legs to come on the field and really drive a game home is going to be important.
Rolled in by Higgins. Left it there for Deanna. Now Higgins got some speed. Head down. Tackle turned in over there. Ruck ensues. Rugby ATL comes away with it. Going backwards though. Now they get it free. Trying to use the far sideline. And on the run into the open field. And a good tackle made out there in space by Taylor Adams. Garrica got the carry there for Rugby ATL. Now Bautista, stiff arm there. Still going, and a whistle halting play here.
Unfortunately, ran behind his own player there. He's looking for someone to run straight off of him. When you've got a player drifting across field like that, you need someone to punch back hard against the line. Miscommunication, and really a costly turnover considering all the momentum was behind him, yet drifting across field here. Talapusi got to the line just a little bit too early, and crossing over. You can't run behind your player and impede the defender.
Catch by you. Kicked into touch. Coming up on 20 minutes gone by in the second half of the match. There's a look at Bautista Ezcurra.
Yeah, he's been really impressive in this game. They've really lent on him hard to get go forward ball. He's got a nice step, steps off the left foot, gets upfield, he's getting across the gain line, and they've relied heavily on his left foot as well in the kicking game.
Look good out there. The fitness, as you say, looks good from him, and does many of these, and this line out goes awry, but Rugby ATL able to get on the ball here. And they'll try to work upfield. Spun back by Gauss. Booted away by Rugby ATL. Fan trying to get a souvenir down there.
And because that ball was passed back into the 22, it cannot go back out on the full. So Ezcurra there put under a little bit of pressure, knocks it straight out into touch. Look at Momsen there.
Yeah, it's a good game.
He's been very heavily involved. Expect just outside of the 22 here. They might even throw up a defensive pod against this line out.
Deep on the throw. Gathered in by Rugby ATL into the hands there of Duncan Van Valvik. Spun back inside of the 22. They booted away. Near the halfway line, pulled in there by Parfrey. Picks up some good yardage there.
Oh, great work at the breakdown. What a steal. Coming straight back into the channel. You know, I thought it was a bad kick. They kicked it straight down the middle of the field. You see them congratulating there. It looked like Connor Cook was able to get over the top of the ball. When you get a good loose forward on the ball, there's not much you can do to remove him.
He's been very active. We were just talking about Momsen the same way. We've called Cook's name a lot as this one sent it a touch far side. Talked about it a little bit in the first half, what a big pickup Cook was for Rugby ATL. Here's a look as we head to break. Halfway through the second half of the match, 7-point lead for Rugby ATL.
Welcome our special guests today, Mayor Steve Tumlin, Dr. Ray Hay, Roy Hadley, Duncan Angrove, Big Block, and John Greenwich.
Offering not much.
Okay.
Welcome back. Rugby ATL up 7 points, 21-14 the score here. Rugby ATL leading Toronto. Now, if you believe in a thing called momentum in sports, Atlanta has all of it. It might be a close game, but it certainly does not feel like that here at Life University. All of the energy, all of the momentum really on Rugby ATL side in the second half, guys.
Thank you, Alex. And it is. I mean, they've done what they do, James. I mean, they've defended, they've been physical. And now they're trying to get some O going here. There's Cook again.
Rattlers, make some noise.
He is hard to miss. He got those long dreadlocks flowing. He's worked hard in this match. Rugby ATL with it. Nice little nifty move there from the missile, as they call him. And they're down inside of the 5-meter. And the missile reaching for his left ankle there. That is Jeremy Masela-Gula. He made a big play for him there to get him to the edge of the try line here.
Yeah, and Heaton was held there, so the penalty went against ATL because Heaton was held on the tackle and he got back up and lunged towards the goal line. See the final piece here. Gets rolled over towards the goal line, but the infringement happened before. He was held by an Arrows player. Better passage of play there from Rugby ATL.
Yep, injured player down in first half. We had a lengthy injury delay. Harley Davidson of Rugby ATL was taken off on a stretcher. Last report we got from Alex Glaze, who's on the pitch, was they took him to a nearby hospital, and this is Matt Heaton. And now you see a Toronto player down, and you know, could some of this very well be, I mean, I know the game's rough, it's physical, it's intense, but these teams haven't played in over a year, and you've touched on it a couple times, partner, that you can't replicate game. You just can't. What do you think?
I mean, you see it right now. It's very difficult to replicate that kind of intensity, and it's more has to do with, you know, everything steps up that extra 10%. And it's a little less friendly at the bottom of the ruck, yeah? You've got someone laying on the top of you. He's going to hold you down a little bit longer, make you work a little bit harder to get off the ground, get back into the defensive line, and you're seeing that. This is a really critical passage of this game now.
Line out will be triggered by Patrick Lynott. Way up, the Arrows get it. Into the maul. To me, it's almost as if Rugby ATL wants that, the way they're playing in the second half. Am I right?
Yeah, they do. One statistic from last year, interesting enough, they score most of their points in the final 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, the Arrows tend to score most of their points in the first 20 minutes of a game. So you've got this interesting dynamic where ATL's been able to stay close, and this is where they've done so well, closing games out towards the stretch.
Their 2 wins last season. At Utah, 28-19. Their last game was on March the 8th against Old Glory DC. They won that 31-29. Aside from the Toronto loss, their 2 losses were by a combined 5 points. On the run here, Gaston Mirez runs out of room. Spun out of there by Higgins to the back. Good aggressive play there, and nowhere to go there for Taylor Adams.
Yeah, offsides on the outside there. Again, it comes from pressure. They're trying to put a lot of pressure on this Toronto attack. They're going to give away penalties.
So we played over 25 minutes here in the second half. No scoring to this point. Identical score we had at the break at halftime.
Talked about some firepower coming. They have Joaquin Tuculet, the Argentinian. He just came into camp, just cleared his 2-week quarantine process, so his first training was towards the beginning of last week, so he didn't make this match day squad, but he will be a huge addition to this Arrows attack.
Yeah. Now a ruck out near the halfway line, taken away by the Arrows of Toronto. Good tackle there. That was Momsen in there. He has been all over the joint in this match, both in that part of the game, and he scored tonight. He's been involved heavily for them tonight.
Winning the physical battle is exactly what they're doing. You watch that passenger play. They went to go wide. The defense had closed the gate on them, ran right back inside into the strength of this ATL and turning the ball over again. One thing Scott Lawrence does is, it's not usual as we watch the replay here. Watch on the outside, see this defense closing. He's got no option but to step back inside. Very little options there for the Arrows, but we talked about it. Most coaches don't like to do a lot of contact during the week. Scott Lawrence is not that coach.
Goes the other way.
He goes the other way.
Yeah.
He likes to do a lot of contact at training, and he focuses a lot on a lot of the biomechanics of winning the collision. Spends a lot of time on hip mobility, hip power, and they replicate, they replicate, and they replicate.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, but the way you beat pressure is by being uncomfortable and confident.
Yeah.
22 drop.
So Toronto with possession here. And you knew I was going to bring this up because you know I'm proud of where I'm from. I know you are too. Scott Lawrence is a Youper. For those that don't know what the heck I'm talking about.
It's not a drink or a cocktail.
It's not. He is a native of the Upper Peninsula of the great state of Michigan, from Pickford, Michigan. If you're familiar, it's about halfway between the Mackinac Bridge, which joins the lower and the Upper Peninsula, and the Canadian border where Sault Ste. Marie is. Old school, tough rumble mentality. A lot of people from the UP of Michigan have, to your point about Scott Lawrence and the way he approaches things. Higgins gets it free. And Rugby ATL with a boot right back the other way. Short one, and they're able to come away with it. Good hands by Wengluski. And loose head prop there.
Come off. Come off. Come off.
Unfurl all those bodies. So you want to play rugby, huh? Let you listen there to that. It's like no other sport. Injured player, at least slow to get up for Rugby ATL there. Left side of his back. Trainer will come out to tend to.
Looks like it's Rowan Gowes that's down on there.
You're right.
Came from a bit of a messy exchange, kicking the ball back and forth. It was a high contestable kick. It's actually taken back by Rugby ATL and then turned over.
Stoppage here to 10 to Gowes. Substitution for Rugby ATL now, wearing 16, is Jonas Petrakopoulos. He replaces Garrica up front for Rugby ATL.
And he came from Rooney in 20, so he's a high school All-American. He's actually born in the Netherlands. Played at the Stellenbosch Academy overseas. Very good addition to bring on the field, but here we are again, inside the 22.
Yep.
Back to familiar territory. All of Rugby ATL's tries have been scored from lineouts. We know they scored most of their tries from lineout. This game has been no exception.
Trying to put even more distance between themselves, handled there by Cook. Here comes the rolling maul. Still going, still going. Ball's back there behind him though. And they are knocking on the edge of the 5 meter. Momsen had it, bobbled it, and this thing's gonna be picked up and stopped as Toronto had it. Cook had a chance to get it and couldn't gather it in. And tempers flaring a little bit here between these two that are gonna be living in the same area for the next few weeks.
A little bit messy. It was a good attempt at a maul. They're able to get the ball down as we see the final piece here. A little extra color to that play. But good job by the Arrows. They've struggled to defend the maul. What they were able to do is they were able to separate the ball carrier from the main body of the ruck. It confused everyone. That separation allowed them to be able to change the offside line in that maul and be able to bring it to ground legally.
So we'll scrum here. Knocking on the edge of that 5 meter line is Rugby ATL. Can Toronto come up with a stop? We saw Rugby ATL at the other end of the pitch do just that earlier in this second half. Higgins has got it, comes away with it. And sent into touch. Inside of 10 minutes remaining in this match. 7-point lead for Rugby ATL. Rugby ATL is sponsored by Lejeune Detailing, the official automotive detailer of Rugby ATL, a veteran-owned and operated company. Lejeune, mobile detailing perfected. All right, what are you watching for here, James? What's critical on this line out for Rugby ATL?
ATL will want to engage him on the maul again. What's most important here is under 10 minutes left, the Arrows need to get outside of this position. They're playing too much rugby inside.
Here they go. There's Curra. Head down, trying to get back near that 5 meter line. Into the hands there of Jason Dom. Spun out by Gauss, who's all right, was shaken up earlier. Slowed up there was Martini Talapusi. Spun back into the hands of Renalingus. Renalingus and company charging on. Back again it goes. A little bit of space, and this one's knocked on and picked up and played by Toronto. And a good tackle in there on the ball carrier. That was Taylor Adams. So a frantic pace there for the last 10 seconds before that play came to an end.
Oh, the door was wide open for Rugby ATL. It was a great job by them stringing together multiple phases, and it was just a miscommunication from Van Skalkvijk and Connor Cook on the outside. There was plenty of numbers to burn. Good job. It was very quick ruck ball. Playing out the back, there's big holes here. And he just ran into the space the defensive player was coming to. It was two unmarked men on the outside. That was a try that went begging for Rugby ATL and a chance for them to really close this game out.
Yep, one of the better chances either team has had. So scrum again. Jason Higgins, the Irish product, rolls it in. And Toronto gets it out of there, but they are taken down, tackled inside of the 5 meter.
Rattlers, let me hear you.
Near that try line is Rugby ATL, but the ball is down to the bottom of that ruck as they try to get bodies out of there and separated. And Toronto comes out of there and boots it, and it's gathered in by Rugby ATL. Nice play, good hands, good focus by Rory Van Voot there, number 11. Momsen with it now. Quick Quickly dropped on the tackle there by Patrick Lynott. Inside of 7 minutes to play in this match. 7-point lead for Rugby ATL. Gauss spins it back, good tackle. That was timed perfectly by Shepard. Gauss again, Bautista as Kerr with it. Gave it off into the hands there of Duncan Van Skalkvik. Now worked out of there. Rugby ATL, 7-point lead. Over the top into the ruck there came Petrakopoulos there, and we get a whistle here.
Yeah, great work at the breakdown by Giuseppe Dutoit. He did a really good job there. And it was a little messy, but a real opportunity that went begging.
Sure did. Rugby ATL has had a couple of those down the stretch. That sequence earlier, you mentioned the opening there that they just couldn't find a way to knife their way through there and bobble the ball. And they have had the pressure on here for the last, what, 8-10 minutes of this match.
It's been 14 minutes, almost 16 minutes actually, since the Arrows even left their own 22.
There you go.
They've had absolutely no territory. 5 minutes left. This is exactly the attacking platform they need.
You know, as a former offensive player, it's a lot harder to defend than play offense, right?
It is. It's very tiring, but they've got to build phases, and they've got to do it quickly. Get over the gain line. As a penalty advantage, slowing the ball down, not releasing the tackle player.
Higgins got it out of there. Trying the outside. They got some room up the sideline towards the try line, and still on his feet inside of the 5-meter. A great chunk of real estate picked up there by Toronto. Now Toronto gets it out of there. They're inside of the 5-meter. So the Arrows showing some life here in their best push in a long time, as James mentioned.
Referee's playing advantage. Offside, so they have a free play here.
They do. Do they get in? Trying to get this over the line and ground it.
Can't give that. Offside.
And there's the whistle to halt things, James.
16 black.
The Arrows finally adjusting to ATL's attack. They went out of the back, and there was a great interchange down the sideline. And how about the work by Leandro Levis?
There we go. 1.5 meters to 2 meters away from that try line is Toronto trying to get in, get the 5, have a chance to tie this match up in the late stages of it.
Second advantage, 4 black offside.
There you go, offside. It's on Redalingus for Rugby ATL to play the advantage here to Toronto.
Double movement, we'll come back. 4 offside.
Another penalty advantage and another double movement again. Went for that second effort when he was held, and he's coming out. The referee now is going to give a warning. Next penalty is going to be a yellow card, so ATL got to defend their goal line and talk about a swing in momentum here.
Big time. Big time, and here's a look back, James, at that big play to the outside that got the Toronto Arrows where they're at now. Just a great play turned in, the pitch on the outside and a sprint up that far sideline.
Yeah, it was great work. Excellent work. And again, it came down. In order to beat the pressure defense by the outside, you need to be able to pull the ball back. And they ran what's called a second man play. Attacking runner comes, the ball goes behind him. That creates space on the outside.
That was Gaston Mirez that got the ball into the hands of Leandro Levis on that big play that has Toronto threatening here in the late stages to make this a 2-point game. Of course, the conversion kick could tie it. As we played over 77 minutes in this match. Line out. I think we all know what's coming here, James. There's the line out. They want the rolling ball.
Sack is good.
They don't get it.
Yep.
Lynett's got it. He's on the turf. And a whistle. And Rugby ATL gets the job done once again in there.
Talk about the physicality, and look at them rallying behind the troops. ATL, there's immense amount of pressure on the goal line. That was fantastic defensive grit and determination in a very, very difficult position to defend.
Second time they've done that in this second half, and they come up with what could very well be the game-sealing stop, as this one is kicked into touch from back inside of the 22, of course. 78 minutes gone in the match. 7-point lead, Rugby ATL. Scott Lawrence and his guys lost this meeting by 10 a season ago, but now in front as Cook goes up, got away from him, and Toronto's got it right back. Rumble came up with a ball.
No, we'll play.
And Thomas De La Vega, who scored a try back in the first half for the Arrows, had it laid out there, but it was spinning free, and Toronto is showing its frustration.
Leave him. Move.
Oh, Keith.
Maxi.
And not rolling away there, forcing the ball out. You've got to roll away when you're the tackler. Enable the person on the ground to be able to place the ball freely to their 9. But here it is. Big opportunity. Kick the ball downfield, back their line out.
And it's right at the halfway line, coming up for said line out.
So they'll take their time here. They got 30 seconds. Teams practice this every single week. It's the closeout play. Hold on to the ball, draw out the clock, and take advantage of the victory.
Can they do that? That's the hope, that's the goal for Scott Lawrence and his squad from Atlanta. The maul. Redalingus in the middle of that. They power it on. Still powering it on.
Rumble's got his hands on the ball, though. This ball needs to come back, otherwise it's turned over.
And they're trying to get it out.
And it is turned over.
Called it. Yep.
That's the experience. But that is full time.
It is. And Rugby ATL with a massive stand at the try line. They run it out off the line out, as you said, James, and they win this match by 7. An offensive first half and a smash-mouth physical second half.
Really, if you look at ATL, maybe we're just seeing, the Arrows haven't had an opportunity to have any preseason games. They looked a little bit undercooked, but Rugby ATL started behind. Very, very physical, great effort by ATL.
Tremendous win on the home pitch for Scott Lawrence and Rugby ATL. They begin 2021 with a 1-0 record. We'll take a quick timeout and come back in a victory for Rugby ATL. Well, a happy group from Rugby ATL. Ben Holden, James Patterson, our crew. A 7-point win on the home pitch for Rugby ATL. Toronto, well, they're not going anywhere. They're staying in Atlanta for the foreseeable future. That's their home base. And really a tale of two halves in this game, James. Offensive first half, second half, it was all defense from Rugby ATL.
Defense, and they controlled the game. They played down in the territory. As we take a look at the man of the match, Bautista Ezcurra. We talked about his experience coming into the game.
Yep.
He was a steadying hand on attack. He got him over the gain line, allowed them to generate quick ball, which we talked about, and provide great communication on defense.
He certainly did. And I want to remind you, this is our guaranteed rate MLR wrap-up portion of our broadcast. The moving pictures, well, we start back way when the sun was still out back when we kicked at 7.
Yeah, and this is early on. Great work. Very good set piece today from Rugby ATL, especially with line-outs as they drove that ball over. We see another one of these exchanges here. A crucial stop by the goal line towards the end of the game. There was several massive stops and defensive plays by Rugby ATL that allowed them to cut away with this very, very good victory.
Great effort turned in by them in the second half in the defensive end, and you said it before that line out. They wanted to run the time down. They did. They got into that maul and they put it away. Heck of a win for them.
Yeah, and a lot of learnings, but we're coming through week 1, and 1 and 2 from last season that both dropped their first game. So can't wait to see what we've got in store the rest of this season.
All right, James Patterson, Ben Holden, we had a pleasure calling this one. It was a lot of fun. For all of our crew, we say thanks so much for watching. Until next time, so long.